Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. This is a new Let's Play. I'm not sure how long it's going to go. I don't even know if it's going to work, but we're going to give it a whirl. My intention is once the new version of, and this is Draft Day Sports Pro Football 2021 for those of you who don't know. But if you've clicked on it, you probably knew what it was. My intention is to start up a playthrough when the new version of this comes out, which I think is slated for October. But I wanted to add something else to the channel. I didn't want it just to be baseball, and I need a bit of a break from hockey, so we're going to do some football. And this is probably, at least initially, this is probably going to be a little disjointed because I don't have a ton of experience with this game. I know how the engine works because I've played a lot of the pro basketball and college basketball and that sort of thing, but haven't played a lot of the football, so I don't know exactly how everything works. So if I do something wrong or I screw something up, please let me know in the comments, because I'm using this as sort of a test playthrough for the new version, so that when the new version comes out, I'm comfortable with it and it won't be quite as janky as I'm anticipating this one to be. I have no idea how this playthrough is going to work in terms of how I'm going to break it down, how long they're going to be, anything like that. I do know that this first one is just going to sort of be an overview of the game and a review of the roster. We may sim through the first game. I don't know. I've played a few games and they're fun, but they're fairly repetitive, so I don't know how well that would work as part of a video. But maybe when we get to postseason, we can start to play some games, or I can do what I do with my out of the park playthroughs, where I can play like the first game of the year or something like that. I don't know. I haven't gotten that far yet. Ultimately, I was in the mood for some football because training camps are starting or summer camps are starting, and getting a lot of football news, and I was just sort of getting the bug here a little bit. So I figured let's try this. And we're gonna do the Chicago Bears. When the new version comes out, I'm probably gonna run it as the Patriots just because they're my team. But I live in Chicago, so why the hell not? So let's just sort of mess around and see what the game has to offer and see how it goes. So dashboard page, obviously there's nothing listed here because we haven't started yet. I guess let's start with the roster, and then we'll look at contracts, and I don't even really remember how the game plays, so we'll just sort of see how it goes. So overall, our best player according to this is Tariq Cohen. Tariq Cohen and David Montgomery. So we are pretty well set in the backfield with a couple of really, really solid options. Cohen's contract is up after this year, so he will need some money. We'll need to pay him. But David Montgomery's locked up for another couple of years. So we're set in the backfield. Offensive line looks to be pretty sharp. Cody Whitehair, Charles Leno Jr., Bobby Massey are three of our starting offensive linemen. Then you've got James Daniels and Jermaine Afidi in there as well. So a pretty good offensive line. Not sure where Mack is. I would expect him to be up here, but as Eddie Goldman listed as our best defensive player, along with a 23-year-old Roquan Smith. It has Ted Ginn and Allen Robinson listed as the same rating. Okay, well, again, I don't really know exactly how the ratings work, but from a receiver perspective, you can see better hands on Eddie Robinson. Ginn, I believe, is probably just faster. Yeah, and even not by that much. So, all right. It has Ben Brownecker as our top tight end, not Cole Kmet. Mitch Trubisky is rated at a 75. I don't know where that stands in comparison to other QBs. So let's look at Kansas City, just to kind of get a feel. What is Mahomes listed at? Okay, so Mahomes is a 97, Trubisky's a 75. Okay, that's fair. That is fair. So, all right. Let's go by position. Let's look at position. So we got Trubisky, Foles, and Bray. Trubisky's contract up after this year. Nick Foles this year and next, and then Tyler Bray. Talked about our running back situation. It's in pretty good shape with Cohen, Montgomery, and Nall. We have like 9 tight ends on our roster. I don't know if that's the reality, but Cole Kmet is obviously, well, I mean, he's only a 65 rated in this, but he is the top guy, so to speak. We got Jimmy Graham, Ben Brownecker. So there are a lot of tight ends on this roster. Some of them will likely get cut because I have looked at, I think it's here. Yeah, we have 74 players on the active roster, so we will have to move some players to the practice squad at some point. But, oops. I'm going to click a lot of wrong buttons, so just bear with me here. Yeah, guards, Daniels and Afidi were set there. Tackles, Leno and Massey were good there. Tight ends, we talked about that. Wide receivers, Robinson, Ginn. I don't even know who Trevor Davis is. Anthony Miller's only a 67. Cordarrelle Patterson is a 69. Nice. With not very good speed, which is a bit of a surprise given his return ability. Defensively, it starts with cornerbacks. Kyle Fuller only a 74. His contract is up after this season as well. And the max contract, I guess you can give somebody, and this is $10 million. I don't really know. This obviously, the salary caps aren't the same as they are in real life. So that's something to keep in mind. Jalen Johnson is our number 2. Linebackers, there's Mac right there at a 72, really. So he's like our 4th rated linebacker. Yeah, that doesn't make sense. Behind Barkevius Mingo. Even though he's got better strength, better intelligence, better tackling. So he's not quite as fast as Mingo. All right, well, whatever. Danny Trevathan, Roquan Smith. So we got a pretty solid linebacker core. Our defensive line looks to be a little underrated. Akeem Hicks is a really solid D lineman. Abdullah Anderson looks to be pretty solid, but he's young. And then our safeties, Eddie Jackson and who would be, I guess, Tayshaun Gibson would be our starting strong safety, and then Eddie Pinheiro and Pat O'Donnell are our special teamers. So yeah, I don't really know how the ratings compare. Just at first glance, it looks like there are a couple players who are probably overrated, a couple players who are underrated. I don't know if that's a function of me, my scouting, and what I did with my. I don't know if there's a way to look at it. Is there a way to look at your, like there is in basketball, where you can look at like your player, your coach rankings? I don't know if there is, but basically what I did is I took all of the ratings and I randomed 1 to 10. However many times there were, like 11 ratings or 12 ratings or whatever, and I just plugged them in where I wanted them. So if I rolled a 2, I had to use a 2 someplace. So I've got a couple, and I didn't allow any 1s and I didn't allow any 10s. So I've got a couple ratings that are, 8 and 9. I got a couple that are 2 and 3, and sort of everything in between. So, but I don't know if there is a way to look at that. Is it under staff maybe? So this is me, Jim McMahon, profile. So yeah, you can see some of my how some of these are played out. So my assessed potential, scouting, and accessibility is high. My charisma is high. Leadership is middle of the road. Communications middle of the road. Negotiation and likes trading are really high. Persuasion, management, intelligence, and loyalty are low. So that's me. I'm the GM. We've got our offensive and defensive head coaches. Cool. All right, so that is the team. That is the staff. Contracts. We are over the cap right now. Is this over the cap? Or is that under the cap? What is the salary cap? I think that means we're under the cap. I don't know. I'm not entirely sure. At any rate, we are at 109. Oh, it's got to be over the cap because that number and that number are the same. So the salary cap's got to be $100 million. It has to be. So Kyle Fuller, Kyle Fuller, Khalil Mack both getting paid $10 million. Eddie Jackson's making 7.2 for the next 4. Robert Quinn, that's a rough contract, 6.6 for 4. Keem Hicks is up after this year. Nick Foles, Cody Whitehair signed long term. Eddie Goldman this year and next. Bobby Massey this year and next. Jimmy Graham signed through this year. We'll probably let him walk. Allen Robinson signed for the next 3 years. Mitch Buster Screen, Cordarrelle Patterson signed through this season. And then some manageable contracts from there. From some of our young players. Again, David Montgomery, Tariq Cohen. So there are some decent contracts, and there's some anchors as well. Robert Quinn, most notably, that would be not a bad contract to move off the books. I would potentially like to bring Kyle Fuller back. He's a very good cornerback. You can see good speed. His hands are decent. Tackling is okay. So we've got some good contracts, got some bad contracts. Let's see, what else do we want to look at before we click advance? Depth chart. And I've looked a little bit at the depth chart. I don't know how to set this up in such a way where Tariq Cohen is my third down back. I wonder if you do it here, because that's just offense, defense, special teams. That sets, because obviously I want Mitch as my starting quarterback, not Nick Foles. These are just the various formations. Okay, so all right, so this makes sense. In the 4 wide, it's got Tariq Cohen as the running back, Mitch Trubisky, and then it's got, well, it can't have Mooney in there twice. That's dumb. So what do we do for the 4th? It must just plug somebody else in. Those aren't very good wide receivers. But we'll keep plugging along. Yeah, I think we set this as we get closer to the season. I don't want to mess with this right now. Strategy. Okay, so this is... this is the type of play that you're going to run based on various scenarios, which is fine. I'm assuming you can change all that through game planning and whatnot. Okay, let's see. Okay, so it does have backfield by committee checked here, which leads me to believe that my running backs will get equal play, as it were, in the backfield. And again, guys, I apologize if this is really disjointed. I'm learning the game here kind of as we play. I mean, I've played it before, but I never really took the time to kind of go through everything. I just sort of hammered through pages and through seasons and stuff. So I'm actually going to try to learn it this time. How can... Okay, so I wonder if it's just because I'm listed as the GM, like I can't change these, which I guess would make sense. And I guess, and I can create my own game plans, it looks like. So, yeah, okay, so it lists Tariq Cohen as the third down back. So I guess I can change this if I create my own game plan. We may just run with the offensive and defensive coordinators for the time being to see how they see how it goes with them. Training. All right, so we have default training schedules for everybody. And that default training is equal between game tape, physical training, positional drills, and athletics. So I can change. So if I need Allen Robinson to be stronger, for example, I can add to his physical training and remove, game tape because his intelligence is so high. All right, well, that's good to know. All right, so we're at free agency, so let's look at during free agency. Yeah, okay. All right, so are there any decent free agents? These are all fake people, I would assume. Yeah, I've never heard of any of these people. I mean, that doesn't mean that they're all fake. It could very well just mean that I haven't heard of any of them. But I would find it hard to believe that I wouldn't have heard of any of these people. And they're all terrible. So I think we can probably skip through all this. Let's just complete this. Yeah, like just looking at some of these names, these can't. Yeah, these are all fake people. They have to be. I would have heard of some of them. All right, so we are going to training camps. No, I don't want to complete training camps. I guess this is where I would mess with training. So if I go to, like, let's just go to, okay, so I have to physically create one. So if I create, like, strength, and I leave it as strength, and I remove some from the game tape and add to physical training, and then come over here and say Allen Robinson is going to work on a strength schedule. That should increase his strength at the sacrifice, I would assume, of his intelligence, is what I would assume. I think we're going to stick with default for right now, and we'll see what sorts of improvements these players make, and then if we have to change things in year 2 or going forward, we can. But I don't think there's anything else I can do. I don't see anything that has to do with training camp. Can I scout the draft yet? And I don't have the draft class uploaded, so I don't have it's not going to have Trevor Lawrence. It's not going to have those players in it, which is fine. I don't really care about that. I don't have any scouting points, so apparently I can't scout anybody right now. So let's advance to training camp. All right, let's look at the Bears. So Buster Skrine got better. Alex Wesley got better. Duke Shelley, Jesper Horsted. I mean, everybody got better, but those were some of the best. Allen Robinson is up there. Cole Kmet's up there. Javon Wims is up there. Abdullah Anderson, Khalil Mack. And I don't think that's not a gain to his overall. I wonder if those are just point gains over, like, across the board. So Alex Wesley got 11 point gains over all of his skill ratings. I wonder. Yeah, it doesn't really show me. If you guys know, let me know. And again, all this stuff, if you have any idea, tell me. And just, that'll help me learn the game a little bit better. Let's take a look and see what mail we have here. Training camp report. Okay, well, this gives us some good information. Khalil Mack got better at his agility. Eddie Jackson at his hands. Robert Quinn, agility and hands. Endurance got better for a couple of our wide receivers. And so we've got preseason coming up. So I guess now is when we would set our depth charts. It has Tariq Cohen listed as, so this is the depth chart, but so I think what I'll do is I'll sim through the first game because I want to see what it does. It has Tariq Cohen listed as the starter, but it also has him listed as the third down back. So I want my offensive coordinator to be setting the depth chart. If we just go with the I formation, it's got Montgomery, and I guess I formation was a bad example because it's going to have two wide receivers out there. Pro set, I guess it's going to have both of them out there anyway. The Bears don't run a lot of fullback stuff. Tariq Cohen. So Tariq Cohen is out there in the shotgun. I want Mitch Trubisky starting, and I want Nick Foles backing him up. All right. Okay. So let's look at defense really quickly and set by the defensive coach, defensive coordinator. So it wants to start Eddie Goldman, and no, we're going to start Akeem Hicks. Right end, Bilal Nichols, Abdullah Anderson, that's fine. Roquan, no, this is going to be Khalil Mack. Robert Quinn. Yeah, that works. Fuller, Jalen Johnson. It's got the nickel. Eddie Jackson. Okay. All right, so that makes sense. Let's save that. Is there anything else? I'm just going to sort of learn this stuff as we go. So we'll just figure out how it goes here. So we have our first preseason game against the Kansas City Chiefs. So let's just go ahead and sim it. We lose 27-20. Let's look at the box score. Yeah, see, so it started Trubisky. It started Foles, even though I told it to start Trubisky. Oh, no, okay. So it started the backups. Okay, yeah, right, because it's the first preseason game. So Chad Henne started over Pat Mahomes. All right, that's fine. David Montgomery got 14 carries, 35 yards. Running game struggled. Struggled on both sides, actually. Allen Robinson, 4 for 55. Trevor Davis, 2 touchdown catches. Defensively, Roquan Smith led the way with 6 tackles. Jordan Lucas had a sack. Robert Quinn had a sack. Okay. So what is this? What's my message? Player performances. So Akeem Hicks played well, but didn't produce. Robert Quinn with a good game. Nick Foles with a good game. Jordan Lucas, Trevor Davis, the players we anticipated just based off the stats, look like they had pretty good games. So let's sim ahead. Oh, I got to sim preseason. Let's advance. All right, so week 2, we're taking on the Denver Broncos. We win 16-10 in this one. So let's look at the box score. Nick Foles played terribly. Much better game for David Montgomery, 17 carries, 80 yards. We only completed 7 passes in the entire game. Foles was 7 of 20. Jerry Jeudy, 7 catches, 80 yards. Melvin Gordon, only 19 for 43. Defensively, Igwe Bunye, 10 tackles, 3 for loss. Roquan Smith had 7 tackles. A sack for Hicks, a sack for Quinn, a sack for Urban. At least we didn't turn the ball over, which is good. That's why we won more than likely. Cool. So let's, all right, inbox. Let's take a look at player performances. Eddie Jackson, a good game. Akeem Hicks, again, is trying hard, but the production's not there. Robert Quinn with a good game. David Montgomery. So, again, the players we anticipated had good games. or not anticipated, but the players that statistically had good games showed up in that list. So let's sim through week 2. All right, so week 3 against the Jacksonville Jaguars. It's a 27-13 win. 18-27, 192 yards for Foles, a touchdown and a pick. Trubisky 5 for 11 with a touchdown. David Montgomery didn't average a lot of yards per carry, but 19 carries and a touchdown. Good spread here offensively. 4 catches for Robinson and Davis and Mooney. 3 for Cohen and Harris. 2 for Ginn. 2 for Patterson. Igbebunye. 7 tackles, 6 for Hicks, a sack for Xavier Crawford, a sack for John Jenkins, no interceptions, but a turnover for us, but we win. We have 2 messages. Oh, it didn't. Okay, so Jacksonville, Ginn with a good game, Patterson, Trubisky shows up on there. That's nice. Overall grade with an A. Foles is on there too. Cohen is on there. Okay. So we got the final preseason game coming up, and then we'll take a look and see what happens. So let's sim through week 3. Take on the Chargers. That's a 21-17 loss. Another good game for Montgomery. Foles, neither quarterback had a good game. 16 of 42 passing in this one for us. Montgomery played well. Cohen doesn't really run the ball all that much, and because our quarterbacks were terrible, he's not really doing anything on the back end either. Did have 3 kick returns for 84 yards, which I guess is okay. Sack there, sack for Hicks. Our first interception of the preseason goes to Bryce. Hambright and Montgomery had 4 pancakes as a running back. All right. So we have 2 more messages. So Jordan Lucas is probable with a broken cheekbone. Alex Bars is out with a torn MCL. Okay. All right. So I think that gets us to the end of the preseason. We are going to have to cut down. All right. So we are at the regular season. Now we have 3 messages. Bars is out. Lashavius Simmons has a broken nose. We're taking on the Lions in week 1. All right. So we have to go to our roster. And we have to. So Bars is out for only 6 to 8 weeks. If we put him on the injured list, does that take him out for the year? I don't know. I guess we're going to find out. All right, so we have 73 players in the active roster. We have to get down to 53. So let's focus on the players we want to move to the practice squad, the players we want to keep. So I think Cole Kmet, because we've got 3 tight ends that are going to play more. So let's move Kmet to the practice squad. We have way too many tight ends. We'll end up cutting a bunch, but I want to move people to the practice squad that I know I want to keep long term. Mooney is probably going to get a bunch of playing time. I'm probably going to end up cutting Ted Ginn. I'm just not a Ted Ginn guy, but that's not for right this second. Alex Wesley, Riley Ridley. So let's move Wesley to the practice squad because it also shows position count. So we've got 8 tight ends. We can have a maximum of 3. So I guess let's just go position by position. That's probably the way to do it. So JP Holtz, we are going to release. Patrick Scales, we are going to release. Eric Saubert, we are going to release. So that leaves us with 5 tight ends. So it only wants us to have a maximum of 3. So Horsted can go to the practice squad. And I think we cut Harris. I'd like to keep Shaheen. Stronger, not quite as agile, not quite as intelligent. Speed and hands are pretty comparable. We're going to stick with Shaheen because he's younger, so we're going to release Demetrius Harris. So our quarterbacks are set, our running backs are set, our tight ends are set, so now we got to go to wide receivers. Why is this popping up on here? All right. What's the number of wide receivers? So we currently have 9, a minimum of 5, a maximum of 8. So let's just get rid of 1 for now, and then we can go. We can cut back on that if we have to. I think Reggie Davis is probably gonna go. Yeah, he's got the worst hands, the second worst, or he's, I guess, middle of the pack in terms of speed. His intelligence is bottom of the pack. His agility is middle of the pack. And his strength is bottom. So Reggie Davis is going to get released. So that gives us 8. So I didn't want to do that. That gives us 8 wide receivers. So let's look at guards now. What's the positional count on guards? So maximum 5, and then 3 for centers. So 5 guards, 5 tackles, and 3 centers. So we're fine on guards. I think we have to send a center away. We're going to put Mustafa on the practice squad just to have depth in case somebody gets hurt. And then tackles. I think Dino Boyd goes to the practice squad. All right, so then that gets us over to defense, positional counts. We need a minimum of 4 defensive tackles. We have 1. So I assume that means I can move some of these players to defensive tackle, right? So Akeem Hicks should actually be a defensive tackle. Can I change his position? Yep. Make him a defensive tackle. We got to make some of these other players defensive tackles too. So Abdullah Anderson. I'm going to base it off of strength. The strongest players will be defensive tackles. That to me makes the most sense. You want those interior guys to be strong. All right. Oops. All right. So positional counts now. We now have 3. We need 4. We have 4. We need 3. So basically, we just take one more defensive end to make him a defensive tackle, and we're set. John Jenkins. We'll make him a defensive tackle. All right, so that should make us okay in terms of defensive ends and defensive tackles. Yep. So we have way too many linebackers, so we are going to be shaving down our linebacker crew. All right. Is there anybody that can just get cut that we just don't want? Isaiah Irving can get cut. I feel like I want to cut Robert Quinn, but it makes more sense to cut Trevathan. We'll release Danny Trevathan. We may end up cutting Robert Quinn if we get to that point. Josh Woods can go to the practice squad. So what does that leave us? We have 8. So we're at our maximum. So I want to get down to the maximum of everything first and then just kind of go from there. So we have a lot of cornerbacks as well. Anybody that deserves to be cut. I think Kendall Vilder can go to the practice squad. So we can send 3 more players to the practice squad. Is there anybody that we want to move on from? We're going to want Jalen Johnson out there just because he's good. Duke Shelley, he's only 23. Steven Denmark. I think we're going to cut Denmark. All right, so we're going to need to, we still need to do at least one more cornerback and then a free safety. I think Artie Burns we're going to release. He's only 25. Yeah, we're going to release Artie Burns. And then free safeties, we have to get rid of one, Sherrick McManus. All right, so we are at the maximum for everything and the minimum for everything. So our positionally, we're fine. We have to cut 3 more players, and all 3 of those players can go to the practice squad. So that works out well. So Riley Ridley can go to the practice. No, Javon Wims. Yeah, Wims can go to the practice squad. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So we have 6 cornerbacks. Duke Shelley can go to the practice squad, and I think it's going to be a linebacker. Right? Is that the one we have a lot of? Yeah, we have 8 linebackers. All right, so which linebacker do we want to move to the practice squad? It's going to be Devontae Bond, I think makes the most sense. Yep. All right. And we'll see. I think we might be able to look at free agents now, bring in some players that are better than what we have. Yep. Look at all of those free agents. So let's look at what we need, I guess. So we're not going to bring in a quarterback. It's Mitch's job, and we'll see how he does. We don't need a running back. We could potentially use... I think we're okay on the offensive line. We're fine at tight end because we're going to run with Graham and Brownecker. Wide receiver might not be bad if there's a wide receiver out there that's better than what we have. That might not be bad. I think we're set at cornerback unless there's somebody clearly better than our players out there. And I think we're fine beyond that. I'm happy with our maybe a strong safety. No, our safety position is fine with Eddie Jackson and Kentrell Bryce. So I think we're going to be looking at a wide receiver. And then we'll see what else is available. But wide receiver is going to be our number 1 target in free agency. So who's the top? AJ Green is the top wide receiver on the market. We got Deshaun Jackson out there. T.Y. Hilton. They cut T.Y. Hilton. So let's do this. All right. So Green, Jackson, Hilton, Darbo, Mike Thomas. Really? So who's got the best hands? The best hands belong to AJ Green. Some of these ratings, man, it's interesting. I mean, I'm not gonna sit here and bash it, but it's interesting. So we're actually still over the cap. So we have to actually make some moves whether we want to or not. And I think so. Let's do that first. We can't even sign anybody. We're over the cap. So I think. There we go. So I think Robert Quinn is going to get the axe. And maybe Nick Foles. Let's see what's... So I think first things first, we have to get rid of Quinn. That gets us under the cap. We can bring Woods back for the time being. So that should get us under the cap. If we go to free agents. Okay, so now we've got some money. So I want to clear positions. I want to look at quarterbacks, wide receivers, and I think that might be it. So are there any decent quarterbacks? Trace McSorley? No. Okay, so the quarterback position is barren. I'm bringing in Mike Glennon. All right, so I think I want to bring in AJ Green. He only wants $300,000. That seems pretty absurd. So he's now the best wide receiver on the team. Pair him up with Allen Robinson. We don't need any tight ends. We don't need any. Let's clear this. What was the other position I wanted to look at? So if we go, well, now we got to go back to depth, and we have to, or not depth. We have to go back to the roster, and we have to send away a wide receiver. Which wide receiver is going to get sent to Riley Ridley? Will move to the practice squad. All right, so we have $3 million. I don't know if those contracts make a lot of sense, but we'll work within the restrictions of the game, as it were. So we now have a couple of decent wide receivers in AJ Green and Allen Robinson, our two top guys now. That makes me feel a lot better about our wide receiver core. Offensive line is fine. Our linebacking core is young, and I think it's fine for now. Khalil Mack could be on the chopping block if those ratings don't improve, but we'll see. I don't know. I mean, we have to see how the game plays. I mean, I don't want to make any assumptions about ratings. I want to see how the games play. And if they play out in a way where, the ratings may not be fantastic, but he plays like Khalil Mack, then, we'll leave him there. We could use a cornerback. I think we definitely could use a cornerback. So let's see what free agents are available there. Clear all positions. And let's look at cornerbacks. So we got Ryan Lewis, Nevin Lawson, Prince Amakamura, LaMarcus Joyner, Richard Sherman, Maurice Kennedy, Darius Slay, Jason McCourty, Awuzie, Taylor Bradbury. Okay, so there are some options here. I think. Who's the best tackling cornerback? So it looks like LaMarcus Joyner might actually be the best option, just looking at the stats. Ryan Lewis has got better agility, but Joyner is better at, he's got a higher intelligence, better tackler. Speed is right there. He's got better hands, got similar endurance. So I think we're going to sign LaMarcus Joyner to be a cornerback for us, and I went to the wrong page again. So we got to go back to roster. So we now have to send a cornerback away, which means we have to kick somebody. We have to either waive somebody, or we have to. I think we waive Buster Screen. So we got a couple of young cornerbacks on the practice squad. Yeah, we're going to waive Buster Screen, or release Buster Screen. All right. So I think that's good. We got to go back to depth charts and reset and see if it moves AJ Green into... Yeah, so we now have Green and Allen Robinson as our top two. Darnell Mooney is our third, which I think is perfect. Jimmy Graham is our... Well, I guess he's a number 2 tight end behind Brownecker, which from a ratings perspective is fine. It wants to start Foles. I'm going to override that and tell you to start Trubisky. It has Cohen listed as the top running back and Montgomery listed as the fullback. But again, I think just based on what we saw in spring training, we'll just see. We'll sim that first game and we'll take a look at it and see what happens there. So now we have to go to defense and set, and it should have put... That has Joyner listed, and that's fine. Jalen Johnson is a youngster. We want him to get playing time. Joyner just gives us some additional depth as a nickelback. It really wants to start Abdullah Anderson as that defensive tackle, so I will let it. Smith, Mack, EA. I'm going to have to figure out how to pronounce that because I can't do it right now. All right, so that's fine there. What else do we need to do? I don't think we need to do anything with strategy. We went with the offensive coordinator and defensive coordinator. How long have I been going? I've been going for 45 minutes. So, yeah, we'll sim the first game. We'll look at the stats. We'll see if we can sort some stuff out. And then we'll call it episode number 1. And, yeah, guys, with this being the first episode, I would always, leave a like, leave a comment. Let's get this included in the algorithm and try to draw some interest and hopefully some people who know more about the game than I do. So, let's see. Let's look at league media before we jump into magazines. That's the draft guides, free agency, fantasy football, season preview. All right, so it's got. Oh, let's look at us. Let's look at the Chicago Bears. Okay, so this is going to be an overview into next season. Like, it's not going to give us anything. Ooh, it does not like our team. We have the 20th ranked offense. See, this is weird. The 5th ranked defense, but our positional grades are terrible. So, all right, that's fine. Cody Whitehair is our top offensive player. Eddie Goldman is our top defensive player. Draft picks, we should just have. Yeah, nothing's changed here because none of the trades have taken. None of the actual deals are in this. It just has. Everybody's got their first that list of initial draft picks. So fan base, I don't know exactly what this number means, but we're tied with a bunch of teams at the bottom. Approval, we are tied with a bunch of teams at the bottom. What's the ELO rating? Somebody let me know what the hell these mean. Cap space, we have a little bit of money, not much, but that will change probably at the end of this season. In fact, I know it will because we have Kyle Fuller potentially coming off the books. Khalil Mack, if his numbers aren't there this year, we're not going to be paying him that much money going forward. So we have the ability to cut some payroll, absolutely, if we need to. There are some players we need to bring back. Depending on how Mitch does, we may bring him back. We are likely to cut Nick Foles. I don't remember where he is on this list, but he was making a lot of money. Yeah, he's right there. But we are going to need to bring back Tariq Cohen, whose contract is up. So, all right, well, let's take a look and let's sim out the first game. Who are we playing? The Detroit Lions. And let's see. I have too few fullbacks on my roster. Okay, how many fullbacks do I need on my roster? Why do I need to have a fullback on my roster? I need to have one fullback. How many running backs? I need to have 3 running backs. So Ryan Nall will make him a fullback, and then we'll go out and we'll sign a running back, I guess. Which means we are going to have to cut somebody, which, fine. Let's go back to free agents. And let's clear everything, and let's bring in a running back. What kind of running back do I want to bring in? That's the question. Do I want to bring in a shifty back, or do I want to bring in somebody who is a little more physical? Like, I could bring in a James Conner. He looks like a decent, he's the strongest, not the most agile. He's not very quick. So do I bring in Darius Jackson or do I bring in James? I think I'm going to bring in Darius Jackson. Not quite as strong, not quite as agile. A lot faster. No. I think we bring in James Conner to be our 3rd running back. So now we have to get rid of somebody else. Which positions are we heavy at? Like, heavy. Not really any. Looks like we're going to have to send down another wide receiver. Because I do want 3 tight ends, so that's fine. So we're going to have to send down we're going to have to get rid of another wide receiver, move somebody else to the trade block, something like that. So who's it going to be? Yeah, see, now I think it's going to be Ted Ginn. That way We will start Green and Allen Robinson, and that way our youngsters, Mooney, Miller, and Davis, will get a little more playing time. So we're going to release Ted Ginn. So if we go to our depth chart now, the one thing I don't want it to do is list Nall as the fullback. Yeah, see, this is what I was afraid of. So we're going to leave Montgomery in there because I don't want Nall playing over Montgomery at all. And we're going to list Montgomery as the starter here as well because I don't want Cohen as my... let's see how it goes. Let's just see how week 1 goes. Let's just see. Let's see if it gives Montgomery more carries and if it gives Cohen those third down snaps because he's listed as the third down back. So that's kind of the plan. If you guys know of a better way to do this, let me know. But we're gonna see. All right, now let's sim that game. All right, did we win? We lost 26-7. Okay, so let's look at the box score. We got touchdown pass from Mitch to Brownecker. Yeah, that was a pretty ugly game. Kerryon Johnson, 3-yard touchdown pass. Travis Fulgham, 3-yard touchdown pass. Mitch was 15 of 34. Yeah, and this is what I was afraid of, is that Cohen got more carries than Montgomery, which wouldn't happen. So we are going to have to make Montgomery the number 1 running back, but that's good to know. That's good to know. So Trubisky, 15 of 34, 148 yards and a touchdown. Didn't throw a pick, which is good. Allen Robinson, 5 catches, 60 yards. A.J. Green, 3 for 35 in his first game with us. Yeah, the running game was not good. So we are going to have to make Montgomery that number 1. See, Montgomery caught 2 passes, Cohen caught none. So we're going to have to figure out a way to change that. And I'm sure there's a way to do it, but I'll mess with it. So, yeah, Khalil Mack only had 1 tackle. We're just going to call him Joel for now. Had 8 tackles, a tackle for a loss, and a sack. Eddie Goldman with a forced fumble. Roquan Smith, 10 tackles. So, an interception for Kyle Fuller. So our top 4 defensive players played pretty well. We didn't turn the ball over at all. It just looks like we couldn't move the ball on offense. Only 4.4 yards per attempt, only 2.2 yards per carry. We didn't turn the ball over. Yeah, they had the ball for 40 minutes. So it looked like we just had a lot of 3 and outs. In fact, we can look at the play analysis. First down, we ran it 12 times, passed it 10. We only averaged 2.5 yards on first down. That's no good. Were there any plays that went particularly well? Slot corner shotgun against the nickel defense. That was okay. Looks like the 2 tight end set was our best passing offense. What was our best running? Nothing. I mean, our running game was terrible. Well, I like this. This is really good information. All right, so we lose 26-7 on opening day. Player performance. Only Trubisky and so it says that Mitch played well, even though he was 14 of 37 or whatever. Goldman played well. Let's delete these emails. All right, let's sim through the first week and see what sorts of messages we get, and then I'll call it episode 1 here. All right, so we got 4 messages, 4 emails. Medical staff, Simmons still with that broken nose. Training highlights, Fuller, White. Okay, so it's going to give you weekly training, which is nice. A.J. Green, he has stopped mentoring Auden Tate. Oh, yeah, right, because he was with Cincinnati. So how do I do that? How do I mentor people? How do I get people to mentor? Because I would like, an A.J. Green to mentor someone like Darnell Mooney, for example. How do you do that? Is it here? Nope. Someone's got to let me know. Someone's got to let me know how to do that, how to mentor people, because I don't know how to do it. I'll see if I can figure it out between this and the next episode, though. So with that said, guys, that's gonna do it. As I said a few minutes ago, with this being the first video in the Let's Play, do me a favor, drop it a like, drop a comment down below. Say, hey, this video sucks, or hey, keep it up, just so we can work it into the algorithm with it being the first episode. I may try to work this in. I mean, it's you start off a new series and it's fun and you're eager, so I may work this in on Thursdays in the franchise hockey manager slot, and then maybe on Monday as well. But it's going to at least plug into this Thursday slot, and everything else will stay the same. The Tigers and then the Rockies over on GM Games, those aren't going to change. So I may plug this into a Monday-Thursday thing, depending on the reaction it receives. If it is horribly received, this may be a really short Let's Play, but yeah, that's going to do it, guys. Appreciate you watching, and we'll talk soon. Bye-bye.